It's a new episode of Two Drink Minimum. Today we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to cover the Robert Pattinson casting news for Batman. And we're also going to talk Dark Phoenix and the new Avengers game that's coming out next spring for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, I believe, also. Switch isn't getting it, but who cares because the Switch gets Ultimate Alliance 3, which quite honestly looks like garbage anyway, so whatever. Anyhow, first off, we're going to talk about the controversial casting news of Robert Pattinson from... Most people are like, that fucking guy from Twilight? Yeah. That being said, he's also done a lot of other stuff that probably no one's ever seen because they got such a foul taste in their mouth from the Twilight movies they didn't bother to watch anything else he's done. This guy, since Twilight, which he has recently in a couple of interviews said he thought was the worst fucking thing he'd ever done in his life. That being said, I know why he did it. Mainly, by that point, the only claim to fame he had was playing Cedric in Harry Potter. The Twilight movies, basically, I know they were shit. I'll be the first to admit that. Sparkly vampires, all that shit. No. Anyhow, that being said, he became a household name because of those stupid movies, and he also got his name out there so that in the meantime, since then, he's been doing a lot of pretty good stuff. If you ever saw Water for Elephants, Cosmopolis, The Lighthouse, which recently opened at, I believe it was Cannes, and he's also going to be in the next Chris Nolan movie, so this guy's got some pretty good credentials under his name now. The fact that he's playing Batman... I mean, I was talking to guys at work about this, and they were like, fuck, he's too skinny to play Batman. I'm sorry, but, like, look at what Henry Cavill looked like before he got cast as Superman. They're not shooting the movie till next spring. So, like, spring 2020, I think they start shooting for a 2021 release. He's got plenty of time, guys. I mean, like I said to the wife, if my job entailed eating and working out all day, every day, even I could bulk up. And that's saying something. So I really don't have any qualms about him not being big enough or built enough to play Batman. Whether or not... I'm not sure what the story's going to be. From what I've heard, Matt Reeves, who did the Planet of the Apes movie, is planning on doing a noir kind of detective approach to Batman early on in his career where he's just starting out kind of thing. So, I mean, it sounds encouraging. I, for one, am not going to sit there and diss the casting because people did that when Michael Keaton was cast. I remember way before the internet times. People literally were saying, what the fuck, Mr. Mom is playing Batman? Same thing happened when Heath Ledger got cast as the Joker. Everybody was like, fucking Brokeback Mountain dude playing the Joker? And then we see where that went. Even Affleck. I mean, Affleck got cast and everyone was like, fucking Affleck playing Batman is bullshit. And he was arguably one of the better parts of Batman v Superman. Not so much Justice League, but that movie was a fucking nightmare of its own. But, I mean, hey, I'm on board. I'm really curious to see how he does with the role. Apparently it was down to him and Nicholas Hoult, who plays Beast in the X-Men movies. We'll get to that in a minute. Apparently the deciding factor was who looked better in the Batsuit. Apparently they both had to come into the studio and do a screen test in... I'm not sure what suit they used. They said they just used a suit from one of the older movies, so whether it was Bale's or Affleck's, I'm not sure. But that was the deciding factor, was who looked better. So yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm not going to shit on the parade right away. Obviously, if we see footage of it and it looks terrible, then, well that'll be a different story altogether. But anyhow, for the meantime, the word is that it's going to be detective noir. I've seen some fan casting theories that were actually pretty good. One person said that for Alfred, they should get Hugh Laurie from House to play Alfred. I'm like, that's actually a not bad idea. Another idea was Bryan Cranston to play Commissioner Gordon, which, again, not a bad idea. There's rumors that it's going to be 6 villains in the movie, which is a bit overkill. I've heard, for starters, it's going to be Catwoman and Penguin, and I'm not sure where they're going to go from there with it, but another bit of casting choices I heard online were Zachary Quinto to play the Riddler. Again, not bad. So we'll see how it happens. We'll see how it goes. Probably going to get a lot more word on the street in the next little while. Probably not right away. They don't start shooting till spring. We may get some plot points and some new casting details regarding the villains, but yeah, like I said, I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that it's going to be a decent movie, and we'll see where it goes. On to something of a little bit of a lesser fare. Dark Phoenix. I saw it. It was not good, guys. It was not good at all. It's kind of the same problem that I had with the Netflix shows like Punisher and Jessica Jones season 3. They've been canceled. Well, X-Men hasn't been canceled. It's being rebooted by Disney. Who knows when. But, I mean, that alone kind of made it a little hard to get into, because it's like, well, we know that none of these actors are going to be playing these characters again. And on top of that, they did the Dark Phoenix storyline again, which they did in X3 The Last Stand, which really wasn't that good then, and it wasn't any much better now. The standout performance I thought in the entire movie was Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. Everybody else seemed to be really kind of phoning in their performances and not putting any effort into it at all. Jennifer Lawrence especially, oh my god. As you've seen in the interviews, Simon Kinberg, the director, who also wrote The Last Stand, came flat out and said, yeah, we kill Mystique in this one. And they literally put it in the trailer. The trailer where you see Jean go whoosh like that and Mystique goes flying, she gets impaled on like a big chunk of fucking wood or something and dies like 20 minutes into the picture. Quicksilver again, for any of the fans of Quicksilver and Evan Peters' interpretation of the character. He, in the last couple movies, Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, got one really neat scene where he could, showcase his powers, and it was really cool, like the kitchen scene in Future Past where he's running around the room with the time in a bottle playing. Great scene. Again, when he saves all the kids from the X-Mansion as it's blowing up, another good scene. In this one, again, in the trailer, you see it. He's running up towards Jean on all that debris, and she kind of just goes whoosh and pushes a piece of debris away for his footing, and he goes flying into a fence and injures himself, and he's not in the rest of the movie. Jean, as I said, gets killed in the first 20 minutes. Then basically what happens is, it's weird too, because in the comics, the Phoenix Force was inside Jean, and even in Apocalypse, we kind of saw it at the end when she phoenixes out and rips fucking Apocalypse to pieces. In this one, they're kind of trying to insinuate that the Phoenix Force is this cosmic entity, sort of pink cloud that's flying around that kind of goes into Jean, and that's what causes her to go evil and freaky, and the cracks in her face and the yellow eye and the orange eyes and all that stuff. So it's really kind of weird in regards to what her powers really are. In speaking of powers, they don't really showcase much of the mutants' powers in this movie at all. I mean, Nightcrawler gets to bamf around a couple of places. Quicksilver, like I said, first fight, he kind of gets taken out. Cyclops is doing the optic blast. Storm does a little bit of the lightning and shit like that. There's one really stupid scene where they're having a party in the woods or something near the mansion, and Storm literally uses her powers to make ice cubes for Cyclops' drink. And it's like, come on. I mean, this is arguably one of the more powerful mutants on the planet, and she's decreased down to bartender status. Come on. Dazzler shows up in the movie too. She's singing a song during the party, and there's glitter everywhere and sparkles coming down and stuff. Weird way to introduce her. She doesn't show up again in the movie and doesn't do anything other than just hang out and party. The rest of the mutant kids, really, you don't see much. Beast keeps flipping between blue and human. Magneto shows up. He's off in Genosha, which from the comics. Doesn't really look much like Genosha did in the comic books, though. It looks more like a bunch of packing containers stacked on top of each other with a few people living in them. So not quite the scope and the majestic standards of what Genosha was supposed to be in the books. So Magneto basically finds out along the way that Jean killed Mystique, and then has no point in the movie other than, I want to kill Jean. So it winds up, the other thing that was really weird is Jessica Chastain's character. Apparently they're the Dabari, Jessica Chastain's character was supposed to be Vuk or Vuk or Vo. I don't know how you pronounce it. He was the celery-looking guy in the books. It really seemed to me like B-grade, like dollar store scrolls that they were using. Apparently, they had to reshoot the entire ending of the movie because it was too similar to Captain Marvel, where Jean was flying around in outer space, blowing up these ships, and it was like a complete lift from Captain Marvel at the end when Carol goes binary and starts fucking blowing up all the Kree ships. So they reshot the entire ending to be they're all stuck on a train, and the D'Bari all show up to try to get Jean, and big fight. Pretty non-climactic, quite honestly. Some cool stuff like Magneto taking control of all those guns and shooting at Jessica Chastain, which does nothing. Another cool part was Nightcrawler basically bamfs one of the aliens right in front of the train. Kind of un-Nightcrawler-ish, because he wasn't really that sadistic, but again, at least he's doing something in this movie rather than just window dressing. Let's see. Yeah, the movie ends with Jean basically, the Jessica Chastain's character tries to get the Phoenix Force out of her, and Jean like pulls her up into outer space and explodes, and apparently they're all dead. And this is where it really became weird, is because this whole movie is supposed to be taking place in 1992. Xavier and Fassbender, Magneto, McAvoy and Fassbender have not aged at all since the 70s. At all. And at the end of the movie, they're basically sitting there, Layla, what are you doing? Weird dog. They're basically sitting there playing chess and talking about, Magneto's like, why don't you come to Genosha with me and all that stuff. They reopen the school, and it's Jean Grey's school for the gifted. Not sure who's running. Oh, it's Beast's running the whole show. So at the end of the movie, though, this is supposed to be 8 years before the original X-Men movie from 2000. So we're meant to assume that McAvoy and Fassbender in 8 years are going to look like McKellen and Patrick Stewart. Okay. The other tag scene at the end where they could have been setting up for another movie was they look up in the sky. Well, they don't look up in the sky. The camera pans up and you see the Phoenix flying through the sky. And then credits. No end scene. Nothing like that. Just credits. The movie did a dismal 33 million opening weekend, 140 million worldwide. Got a 22% score on Rotten Tomatoes. It had the lowest cinema score in any X-Men movie ever made, and with a B-. And yeah, the fans are not liking it. They're saying it's going to lose between 100 and 120 million dollars for Fox/Disney. And the reviews and the word of mouth on this movie is so bad, they're now saying that Marvel may be waiting 5+ years before they reboot the X-Men. 5 years? You fucking kidding me? I'll be old. I am old. But I'll be older. I mean, I want something like... they're talking Fantastic Four in 2022, which is, it's a few years away, but that makes sense because they've got to cast it, they got to write it, and all the rest. But 5 fucking years for the X-Men? Like, come on. I've already heard rumors online that Charlie Hunnam's going to play Wolverine next, which, not bad. Someone actually interviewed Ty Sheridan, and they're like, do you think any of you guys are going to get rehired? And he's like, I don't think so. Probably for the better. I'm not sure really what they're going to do with the reboot. Whether they're going to go back to, like, the original core team, which was, like, Jean, Cyclops, Beast, Iceman. Jean, Cyclops, Beast, Iceman. Who else was there? I think that was it. The original team was very small, and the main villain obviously was Magneto. But really curious to see where they go with this. They've got a lot they can do now. The other problem is Scarlet Witch. Are we going to retcon her as Magneto's daughter, or what's the scoop? I'm not sure how they're going to work that. And they killed Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, so... Although Quicksilver, Evan Peters, it's weird. The whole timeline with the X-Men movie got kind of all fucked up with Future Past, and I'm not quite sure how they're gonna fix it. Quite honestly, there was another rumor too. I heard. I was watching Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith, and they had Zach Stentz on there who co-wrote First Class, and he was saying that at one point, like 2010, 2011, Fox actually he finished the script of a crossover movie between Fantastic Four, X-Men, Deadpool, and Daredevil. Yeah, like apparently it was completely finished. They never started casting it, and now that Disney owns X-Men, the movie will never happen. Basically, is what will happen next. But yeah, that was kind of sounded like their attempt at trying to make the Avengers, for lack of a better term. So yeah, curious to see where it goes. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas or comments or stuff like that, definitely post them in the comments down below. Um, yeah. Also on Marvel news, sort of the Square Enix Marvel Avengers game. They finally showed Layla. Shut up. They finally showed the trailer for that at E3 this week, and fans like I don't know. It looks. It's hard to say. I mean, they say it's all from in-engine game footage that they showed in the trailer, but it looks like a lot of like quick time, like cutscenes, sort of thing like that. So it's kind of hard to determine exactly how it's going to work. The biggest complaint I've heard from online is that none of the characters look or sound like the characters we're used to now. I'm not sure why they would have gone with, Evans, Hemsworth, Downey, Scarlett Johansson, etc., as the likenesses or the voices. But I mean, the voice cast they've got is pretty good. They've got some well-known voiceover actors. The graphics, though, look like none of them look like the characters. And it sounds like it's going to be almost like a mix between Endgame and Civil War, where it's 5 years time jump, where the Avengers basically really fucked up and caused massive damage and loss of life and disbanded for half a decade and then have to get back together and basically save the day once more. The 5 year jump actually shows Iron Man, Tony Stark, with long hair and a full beard after the 5 year jump, which is really kind of jarring. But I don't know. I'm holding out hope. Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the Xbox was a really fun game. This one, I mean, they're saying there's going to be continual down DLC for free. New characters, new powers. So it looks like it's going to be an ongoing thing. 4-player co-op, either online or multiplayer. So, I mean, it's too early to tell. The Fallen Jedi trailer also dropped at E3 for the new Star Wars game, and holy, does that look fun. My only concern with that game is the last Star Wars game I played was Force Unleashed, and I beat that game in an afternoon. If I can beat this game in this one sit down, not happy. I want a good 20-30 hour campaign, which probably isn't going to happen. The gameplay footage they showed looks really fun. You got some neat force powers where you can force pull stormtroopers towards you and then jam your lightsaber through their chest. One of the best shots they showed in the gameplay footage was Stormtrooper takes a shot at the main character and he force pulls the Stormtrooper and then throws him in front of the blaster bolt that he just shot and kills himself. Very cool. If they can get a lot of moments like that in the game, it's going to be worth a couple playthroughs. Again, hoping it's not going to be 6 hours and then that's the game. Have a nice one. See you in 4 years kind of thing. So, yeah, apprehensive about that, but optimistic at the same time. So, I don't know. We'll see. Other than that, movie news. Well, there was this stupid post that I don't even want to be talking about this, but Justin Bieber challenged Tom Cruise to an MMA fight. What does the world come to? That'd be funny to see, especially if Tom Cruise whipped his ass. But yeah, Hollywood, who knows? These guys are nuts. But yeah, so there's my 2 cents worth on Dark Phoenix. There's my 2 cents worth on the Robert Pattinson casting. And my 2 cents worth on the Marvel Avengers trailer and Fallen Jedi. Let's see. Probably gonna do another. Oh, shush! What are you barking about? I know. I'm almost done. Dogs. Anyhow, I'll probably do another video in the next little while. Not sure what day and what topic or anything like that. Stanley Cup Finals tonight. Game 7. Go Blues. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, I don't want to see Boston win it again. Being a Montreal fan, of course, I don't want Boston to win. So look for another video in the next little while, and we will discuss some of the more goings on in the movie world, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, for now, from somewhere in Ontario, this has been Two Drink Minimum. Have a good one.